Hey, what's going on, guys? This is XP Frosted VX here, bringing you another X and Y Wi-Fi battle. This was a battle I had against Sele. He was in my live stream the other day. We had a battle. It turned out to be a very long battle, but kind of close, but not really. It was a long battle nonetheless. I was going to upload this one battle that turned out to be 52 turns long, but I'm not very fond of video editing. I'm not sure how to do that just yet. I kind of want to speed up that video because it was a good battle, but it's just too much time to narrate and the video is too slow anyway. Getting right into the team preview, I'm using a Heatran. I know I hate Heatran so much, but I decided to use it this time around because I needed a special defensive wall. I got Rotom Wash, Azumarill, Scizor, Hydreigon, and Gengar as my opponent has a Rotom Heat, Venusaur, Bisharp, Zapdos, Milotic, and Dragonair. Dragonair was very interesting to me. It turned out to be a nice wall with Eviolite. It's pretty interesting, I must say. Threats on his team, definitely the Bisharp. If it does sets up the +2, Sucker punches everything on my team if they take down my Hydreigon slash Heatran. I mean, if I have those two around, it's not that much of a threat. I later find out that Zapdos is actually a threat because it turns out to be Choice Scarf, which we won't find out until later on in the match. Venusaur, because Venusaur is extremely bulky, and I have really nothing much to deal with it. Of course, I have Fire type moves with Hydreigon slash Rotom Heat, but yeah, don't really have too much for that Venusaur if it goes Mega early. Um, Other than that, let's jump right into the battle. So I saw some Stealth Rock weaknesses, like in the form of Rotom Heat or Zapdos. So I decided to lead off with the Heatran, because why not? So I wanted to get the Stealth Rocks up. I noticed they didn't really have a Rapid Spinner. I mean, the Zapdos could be a possible defogger. But like I said later or before, it actually is a choice scarf, so it doesn't have defog, which I was worrying about the whole match. I go for the Stealth Rocks as he paralyzes my Heatran, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is a specially defensive Heatran. I'd rather be paralyzed than my Hydreigon, to be honest with you. I go for the Toxic, and I kind of forgot about the Shed Skin, but not really, but I did want to get some Toxic damage onto it. As he goes for the Dragon Tail, just forced me out because the matchup was unfavorable to him. As he forces me out into my Hydreigon, which, is not really nice switch in for me, at least, so now I can at least get a Draco Meteor off on this Dragonair, as he goes and pulls a switch out into his Milotic here to take the Draco Meteor. It doesn't take it very well because I get a lucky critical hit, which actually turns out not to matter whatsoever on the following turn, because I know I'm jumping ahead of the narration. I end up missing the second Draco Meteor, which was quite unfortunate. Um, and, he gets his little revenge hacks after a while anyway. So, he's got leftovers, and, I go and try to go for my second Draco Meteor, and like I said before, I missed. He goes for the recover. And that really sucks because now I gotta deal with a Milotic with that reasonable amount of HP, and I'm -2, so kind of forced to switch out here. He's gonna get his leftovers recovery, so he's at a really reasonable amount of HP. This is why the critical hit did not matter whatsoever. So I'm gonna switch out and pull a switch into my Rotom because I feel like it's the safest switch into this Milotic. I just wanted to study its moveset because I didn't really know what the moves it knew other than recover. It does go for the Hypnosis, which kind of caught me off guard, but luckily for me, I did switch into my Rotom, so the Testo Berry woke me up, which, it could have been unfortunate if, my Rotom went down to low HP and I didn't have a Chesto Berry to wake myself up with the rest. He turns out to switch out of the Milotic because he knows the Volt Switch is coming. He pulls the switch into his Dragonair to resist the hit, and it is his Eviolite wall, which most people look at Dragonair and they're like, why are you running this thing? Why are you not running Dragonite with multi-scale? But he likes to be original, and I appreciate that, he's got a Rotom Heat. You don't see that too often. He's got a Rotom. He's got a Dragonair, which you don't see too often. I mean, Zapdos, I could say the same thing, but I don't really see Zapdos too much in OU either. So, he was using some, pretty neat pokes, I gotta say. So, again, same scenario. He switches out to his Milotic to take the Draco Meteor that's coming his way. And he takes this rather well because my last one turned out to be a critical hit as of before. And It is a repeat in history. I take it down into red health. I'm below down in 2 special attack. I go for the second Draco Meteor to finish off the Milotic that should have died like turn 3. And I miss the second time. And he goes for the recover. So, yeah, no, you didn't accidentally click back on your video. This happened a second time, which sucked so bad. So I lost 4 Draco Meteors trying to take out this thing, and I didn't even take out the thing because of hacks on my end. So I'm forced to switch out of my Hydreigon, go back into Heatran because I just didn't want my Rotom to go to sleep. And since I discovered that it had Hypnosis, you know, I don't want anything to go to sleep. So Heatran, even though it was paralyzed, was the best switch in. As he actually reveals to me that he has the Dragon Tail. So he kind of revealed his entire set to me at this point. He has the Recover, Dragon Tail, Scold, and Dragon Tail, Scold, Hypnosis. That's his last move. So I go for the substitute because I am a substitute disabled Gengar, and he does reveal his last move is the Scald right here, which I kind of figured because most wall Milotics carry the Scald, and I carry the disable, so I'm able to disable his Scald that's going to be coming up the next turn after the leftovers, and yeah, he has nothing much to hit me with anymore other than that Dragon Tail, which gives me a free opportunity to go for the substitute next turn. So my Gengar just became an intimate threat to his team at the current moment. As he pulls a switch here, but I forget what he pulls a switch into. I think he pulls a switch into his Zapdos, I'd like to say. Don't quote me on that. He goes back into his Dragonair. Okay. And I go for the substitute. He's taking Stealth Rock damage, and so on and so forth. This is what I was talking about, guys. I want to learn how to speed up my videos. Like, probably go to Windows Movie Maker or something like that. So I could just speed up my videos as I'm commentating, because, you know, so I could prevent stuttering and stuff like this from happening. So I go for this Shadow Ball, and I expected this to kill because Dragonair is so bulky because of the Violate, it actually takes it. Goes for the Dragon Tail to break my substitute. And it doesn't get the phasing effect because it hit the substitute. It didn't actually hit the Pokemon. Like, Whirlwind or Roar will pierce right through a substitute and phase you out. But when you're hitting it with a Dragon Tail, it's a completely different story. So after the second Shadow Ball, I'm able to take out the Dragonair, which is kind of an annoying wall. And he does go into his Zapdos. And I decided to switch out here because at first I didn't realize that he was faster than me, or I was faster than it. Which, when I come into to realize that it was actually Scarfed later on, you'll find out later on in the match why I thought this thing was Scarfed. I go into my Heatran because I feel like it's the safest switch to go into, and I might, you know, think he might go for the Heat Wave or something. As he goes go for the Volt Switch, he's going to get switch initiative, gain momentum on his side of the field, and bring it out to the Milotic. Now, I think I pull a switch here. I'm not sure, or I think I stay in and go for the Toxic here. I'm not absolutely sure. You know, after turn effects are kind of annoying. Don't have much more to talk about. And, yep, leftovers recovery after that's happening. And he does, I decide to stay in as he goes for the Scald, because I had really no safe switch-ins at this point. And I go for the Toxic, which, yeah, I triggered its Marvel skill, but it's not that big of a deal, because the toxic damage will rack up over time, and, you know, deal whatever like that. I think I pull a switch into my Rotom here after this. Poison damage after turn effects. It's happening again. So yeah, returning to Heatran, I go into my Rotom, and as he's going to go for the Scald, which it's not going to do much at all. Even though it turns out to be a crit, still didn't matter at all, because I did absolutely nothing, because my Milotic's not invested in special attack whatsoever. And yeah, getting more leftovers, getting more poison damage, you know, all that fun stuff. So he's switching out of his Milotic because obviously he does not want to take a Volt Switch, especially since he's been staying in for a couple turns with the poison and stuff. It's starting to rack up. So he just switches into a Venusaur because Venusaur can take whatever I go for. So I'm going to go straight for the Volt Switch to gain momentum on my side of the field, and then I think I pull a switch into my Hydreigon. No, I go and pull a switch into my Heatran, because it can wall this thing to oblivion as long as it's not holding the Earthquake. But it was kind of like a check slash fodder at this point, because as you can see, my Heatran is not much, doesn't have much HP at all. So if this Venusaur did carry the Earthquake, it probably would have went for it right there. But according to the fact that it did switch out, it doesn't have the Earthquake, which I could freely switch into this Venusaur if that turned out to be the case. As I do go for the Lava Plume, just so I can try to get a burn on the Venusaur, he ends up switching out to his Rotom Heat, which I do get a useless critical hit because he ends up getting a Citrus Berry and recovering back up to a reasonable amount of HP, around the same HP as he came in on the Stealth Rock damage. I can't really do much to this Rotom. I could have stayed in, went for a Toxic there, but there was really no point because I end up going and pulling a switch into my Hydreigon, predicting the Fire / Electric type move, and Hydreigon can take it the best. And I can do reasonable amount of damage with the Dark Pulse / Draco Meteor, as he does get the special attack raised from the Charge Beam. I go for the Dark Pulse. I don't kill it, you know, it's a solid 2-hit KO as it looks like. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp and ends up burning me, which is not the biggest deal. It's kind of annoying with the residual damage though that it could pose later on in the match. He switches out of his Rotom because he realizes he can't really do much, and he goes into his Bisharp. I end up going for the Dark Pulse. Didn't matter if I went for the Dark Pulse or Draco Meteor there. It still would have done, well, Draco Meteor would have done more damage, but it wouldn't have mattered. He resists both stabs, as Dark Pulse does a respectable amount of damage to his Bisharp. The fact that he even resists and stuff. I'm forced to switch out because I'm actually locked into Dark Pulse because I'm actually a Choice Scarf variant, as he goes for the Knockoff, and Knockoff is not going to do, like, it does a lot, but it would have, like, probably knocked me out if I was holding the Chesto Berry still, which the Milotic forced me to eat earlier on in the match. And I make a kind of a dumb play there. I should have went for the Will-O-Wisp right there, expecting the Sucker Punch, but I went for the Volt Switch thinking he would over-predict and try to go for another Knockoff, just so he won't fail with the Sucker Punch and get burned. That's kind of why I went for that Volt Switch right there. I go into my Scizor because I feel like it's the most reliable thing to take on this Bisharp right now, as he does indeed go for the Knockoff. It's not really going to do too much because he's, again, not knocking off an item because I'm holding a Mega Stone. You can't knock off Mega Stones. As I'm going to go for the safe Bug Bite and take it out. And I think he pulls a switch into his Rotom here. And he brought in the Rotom, takes in the Stealth Rocks. He looked at a reasonable amount of HP to go for the Bullet Punch to take it out, which ends up happening even though it is quad resistant, so his Rotom goes down. And I believe he does go into his Zapdos here to scare me out for the possible Heat Wave it might possibly carry. So, yep, Shiny Zapdos comes in, taking Stealth Rock damage, revealing it has pressure. And I'm going to go ahead and switch into the Heatran, expecting the Heat Wave to see if it does have the Heat Wave indeed. He actually does make a really good play and end up going into the Volt Switch just to gain momentum, predicting my Heatran to switch into here. Which is really, really not a bad play at all. Great momentum on his side. He's not locked into a Heatran. He's not locked into Heat Wave, giving me the Flash Fire boost and whatnot. He goes and pulls a switch into his Milotic to wall my Heatran because it is like it's pretty much a lead Heatran. It sets up Stealth Rocks. It's toxic. It has Lava Plume, and then I think it has Roar as its last move. So it's pretty much what it does. It sets up Stealth Rocks, toxics a few things, maybe get a Lava Plume off or two to burn some stuff, and phase out if I can. Other than that, you know, Heatran doesn't really do too much. So I switch out of my Heatran and go to my Hydreigon because I really want to do some damage to this thing. And Hydreigon's going to get a sweet, sweet revenge from the beginning of the battle, because he's actually going to end up doing some pretty good damage to his Milotic. I did not want to lock myself into Draco Meteor because, as you saw before, I hit that thing, well, hit the thing twice, but I used 4 Draco Meteors there, missing 2 of them. So I only had 1 left because this is an in-game Hydreigon that I bred myself, and I didn't Pokegen it or anything, so I only had 5 power points on the Draco Meteor, so I decided to go for the Dark Pulse, as he does the safe play and goes for the Recover just to see what I would lock myself into, because he realizes that I'm choice locked right now. And, he's taking poison damage. I'm going to be taking burn damage. And I'm getting really close to death at this point because, the burn and switching in and out into attacks and stuff like that. Really starting to rack up on the Hydreigon. The Hydreigon's going to go down very, very soon. As he makes a questionable play, he goes into his Venusaur here to possibly take the Dark Pulse a little bit better. Stealth Rock damage. And this Dark Pulse, which is from a stabbed Modest Hydreigon, it's not going to take it very well at all. And next turn, the Burn's going to kill me, and, he goes and Mega Evolves with his Venusaur, which does not matter whatsoever because it's way too low to take this Dark Pulse, as you saw from the previous damage it took. I know it becomes more bulky, but I don't think it's going to take another Dark Pulse from Hydreigon after all that damage it took previously. The Burn ends up taking me down, so it turns out to be a double down. And it's a blind switch for both of us. I think he goes and pulls the switch into his Zapdos as I go into my Azumarill. I don't know why I went to Azumarill. I guess because I didn't get to use it all match. He actually pulls a switch into his Milotic here. And I forget what he does here. I think he keeps it in and tries to hypnosis me. Puts me to sleep, because I don't have anything to sleep on my side of the field yet. And, Azumarill is a threat. And for him to stand a remote chance against me at this point in time is try to put my Azumarill to sleep, which ends up failing on his end, which is kind of just sweet justice right there because of the 2 Draco Mesas that I had the last turn, or previous turns from there, which didn't end up all that mattering. Well, since he's a Zapdos and I'm locked into Play Rough because of the choice band, I'm forced to switch out and sack off my Heatran to see what he would do, or try to go for the Heat Wave or something like that. I didn't know what he was going to do, so I switched into my Heatran, foddered it off, seeing it was going to go for the Thunderbolt. I go into my Gengar here because Zapdos has a 100 based HP, and this is when I find out that it's actually Choice Scarfed. I was really, really shocked by this. And I go out to my Azumarill, and I'm going to go ahead and finish off this match with a Choice Banded Aqua Jet from my Azumarill. This turned out to be a 3-0 victory in my favor, but this match was really, really long, and it turned out to be a pretty good battle nonetheless. I stream occasionally, guys. If you guys are new to me on YouTube, I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and over the weekends. I sometimes stream Monday and Wednesday, depending, but I can let you guys know on Facebook. Just follow me on Twitch, follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, and until next time, guys, later.